In this final section of our course, Lead Volunteers, I want to share with you the ultimate goal of all of our recruiting of volunteers, all of the training of our volunteers, and all of the efforts at retaining of all of our volunteers. What I'm getting ready to share with you, truly it's nothing new. We're going to take it, though it's taken a couple of different forms over the years, we're going to see that it has been applied in various contexts throughout the Bible. Listen, it's found in the Old Testament, it's found in the New Testament. Moses relied on it. Elisha institutionalized it. The early church leveraged it. Paul modeled it, taught it, and commanded it. And Jesus personified it. But what is this amazing it? Well, before we get into this topic and define this it, I want to push pause and have like a fun activity. Now, when I was a kid, I loved to play with calculators. Maybe you did too. I used to take out a calculator during like math class, probably when I was supposed to be listening or doing something else. But what I would do was mentally check out for a little bit and push 2 plus 2 and hit equal sign as many times as I could over and over and over and over and over. Now, have you ever done that? To me, it's super satisfying. Now, we're gonna actually push pause on our training. I want you to take out your phone and pull up your calculator. Now, if you don't have a smartphone, get like an old school calculator. If you don't have a smartphone or an old school calculator, get out your abacus. I'm kidding. Okay, so, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna take 5 seconds and we're gonna see together, we're gonna see who gets the highest number, me, you, whoever. So the timer has been set. We're gonna do 5 seconds. I wanna get your race fingers on. Hang on, I'm gonna do 2 plus 2. You do the same. And now I'm gonna make sure I did that right. Here we go, 2 plus 2. And now we're gonna put our finger over the equal signs. On your mark, get set, go.
Time.
I got 82. So, how did you do? Now, by adding numbers as fast as I could, I got 82. Not too bad. Now, do you wanna know what was even more fun as a kid? Discovering the power of multiplication. Now, let's clear our screens, and what I want you to do is we're gonna reset the timer to those same 5 seconds. This time, however, we're gonna do 2 times 2 and hit the equal sign over and over and over, and we're gonna examine the escalating outcome. All right, 2 times 2, the timer has been set. Get those race fingers ready. On your mark, get set, go.
Time.
2 billion. In 5 seconds, I was able to get to 2 billion by multiplying numbers as fast as I could. This is the profound difference between adding and multiplying. We are called to multiply our efforts, not simply do the work ourselves. This amazing it that Moses relied upon, that Elisha institutionalized, the secret it that the early church leveraged and Paul modeled, this it is the thing that Jesus personified, and this thing, this it, this is the thing that we need more than anything in our leadership lives. It's nothing short of ministry multiplication. Now, I had a mentor, and he repeatedly pounded this into me. The role of a pastor is to build up the body to do the work of the ministry. And your job, listen, is not to do the work of the ministry. Biblically, your job is to build up others to do the work of the ministry. At each and every meeting that we had, he would ask me these 2 questions. The first question, he asked, what had I been doing? What have I been working on? What have I been doing lately? The second question was never far behind. Who was I training to do that thing that I was working on? It was not to do my job. That was not my job. My job was to effectively work myself out of a job by training others every single aspect of the ministry. This never ended. He asked me these questions every single week to the point of ad nauseum. Knowing that I was going to be peppered with that second question about multiplying myself in ministry every single week, I got to tell you, I sought to do what he kept telling me. I found qualified people. I began to systematically pass on portions of the mantle that was under my authority. This was double the work, mind you. I was barely staying ahead of the ministry workload, yet I was being told that I needed to be training and handing off ministry to others every area that I had, at the same time that I was keeping everything afloat. Yet he persisted in his plea, and he was my boss. So several years later, I was sailing along with a robust team of people deeply engaged in the ministry. These leaders had risen to the top, and I'd painstakingly taught them to be like volunteer pastors in a sense, and volunteer shepherds, and all these different areas of the ministry. I had multiplied myself several times over. And there was now this ultra deep bench of key players all over the place. We had multiplied people who could lead music. Initially, there was only one person, me, on my guitar. And now we had an elite team of 30 to 50 volunteers of their own, right? Previously, I was overseeing 250 weekly volunteers all by myself. We had half a dozen people who at a moment's notice were well equipped to lead games and confidently pull that off according to the ministry, listen to me, values that I had imparted. I trained them to be me. We had players who had been trained and were effectively doing that which I had been doing myself 20 months earlier. Finally, I had a team. Finally, there was breathing room. Finally, we were able to take on some seriously new areas of growth, and we're not just barely maintaining. Several years into the ministry, I began to meet other pastors and leaders who had a similar role that I had. They were fried, burnt out, or burning out. They did not have a team, and they were often this one-person show. And they were so frazzled, honestly, that it was sometimes stressful to be around them. Listen, if it was stressful for me to be around them, do you think that any volunteers wanted to join them? Probably not. Now, I began to see this one-person show more and more and more. This was not an isolated incident, but something that was super far-reaching. Now, do you know the story of the duck born in an eagle's nest? Just by virtue of being raised by a parent eagle, that duck just assumes the posture of an eagle. The duck knows no different. Now, for me, you see, I had been plopped into the deep end of the swimming pool, and I was way over my head. I had no formal training in ministry at all, and I was a high school chemistry teacher, for Pete's sake. I was that duck outside of my league. However, my mentor, he was an eagle, and he showed me the ropes of how to soar and how to be as regal as an eagle. And I must say to you, I simply knew no different. I literally thought that each and every pastor was working tirelessly to multiply themselves in ministry. I mean, it's found in Scripture, right? Interestingly enough, I thought the concept of multiplying oneself in ministry was standard issue in every pastor. It's not the case. As a closing part of our training, I want you to see the grand end of all of our labor as leaders of volunteers is to see ministry multiplied.